Alleluia, Alleluia. One does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes forth from the mouth of God. Alleluia, Alleluia.
The Lord be with you.
And with your
A
spirit.
proclamation of the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus went across the Sea of Galilee. A large crowd followed him because they saw the signs he was performing on the sick. Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat down with his disciples. The Jewish feast of Passover was near. When Jesus raised his eyes and saw the large crowd was coming to him, he said to Philip, "Where can we buy enough food for them to eat?" He said this to test him, because he himself knew what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 200 days' wages worth of food would not be enough for each of them to have a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, the brother of Simon Peter, said to him, "There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what good are these for so many?" Jesus said, "Have the people recline." Now there was a great deal of grass in that place, so the men reclined, about 5,000 in number. Then Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed them to those who were reclining, and also as much of the fish as they wanted. When they had had their fill, he said to the disciples, "Gather the fragments left over, so that nothing will be wasted." So they collected them and filled 12 wicker baskets with fragments from the 5 barley loaves that had been more than they could eat. When the people saw the sign he had done, they said, "This is truly the prophet, the one who is to come into the world." Since Jesus knew they were going to come and carry him off to make him king, he withdrew again to the mountain alone. My dear brothers and sisters, the Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Let me invite you to reflect on today's Gospel and also to continue our reflection into tomorrow's Gospel. No? Because I think it's a very beautiful time to reflect on this, because we are going through a crisis. No? And it is a crisis of scarcity. No? We know that a lot of people will suffer because of the Middle East conflict and the rising prices of fuel, which eventually will affect all basic commodities. No, so there's a very no there is a real danger, and it is actually happening in some places already where people are having difficulty to make ends meet. And again, here it's a very beautiful gospel. The question of the multiplication of the loaves and fish. So first, we'd like to look at the Philip and Andrew principle, no, and then we'd like to look at the young lad, no, that Andrew brings forward. And then finally, we'll just reflect on a miracle, no. So first about Philip. Philip said, no, this is impossible, no. And yet Andrew, despite aware of the challenge, no, brings the little boy, no. So again, it's for us to choose, no. So when this crisis broke out, no, some people are panicking, some people are feeling very down and negative, and rightly so, no. But then again, we must see the opportunity, no, the opportunity that this crisis gives us, no. And here I invite you, and this brings me to my second point. No? In the same way that Andrew saw the opportunity, he brings the young boy with 5 loaves and 2 fish. As if we reflected on in the past, let us bring our poverty before God and before the situation that we are facing. Each and every one of us can contribute something, rich or poor, so long as we are able to come before the Lord and offer what we can, no, in the face of this crisis, as we reflected on in the past, no, to bring our poverty before the Lord, no. And here, because of that, no, the miracle takes place, and therefore, God needs us, no, to allow His miracle to take place, no, that we become channels of His miracle. And here the miracle was what? The miracle was that people were able to eat, all of them. And some of the interpretations said that the real miracle was that the Lord encouraged people, no, to share. That's the other interpretation of this gospel, no. And therefore it is a time also for us to share. And because of the sharing that took place as the miracle, no, of this gospel, there was more than enough for everybody. And I think the same is true for us, no? There is so much that we can share. I think there is no absolute scarcity in our country. One of the great challenges that we have is not just poverty, but the gap between those that have access to resources and those who have very little access or practically no access to resources. In a time of crisis like this, it's a time for us to come forward, no? Just like the young boy, and to bring the poverty of who we are and whatever we can give and offer it, no, to God, and to allow God's miracle of generosity and sharing, of solidarity and fraternity to happen. So today I ask and I pray that I ask you to pray and ask the Lord, what can you do? What can you share? Just like Andrew, what can you bring before the Lord to this situation of crisis? And allow the Lord to use us as instruments, like just like the young lad, the young boy, no, who brought everything that he had, and because of that, the miracle took place. And perhaps the miracle is not just the abundance of resources, no, that we are able to help those who will be suffering through this crisis, but perhaps the miracle will be a renewal in our society. We may become a society that is sharing. We may become a society that is not corrupt. We may become a society that will really take to heart, no, the needs of the poor, the needs of the most marginalized. There is enough to share, and we must share each to our own ability. And perhaps we can give out of the generosity of our hearts, the greatness of our soul.